If you're a nonprofit executive director or founder, this video is specifically for you. Your false urgency filter is on its way to your inbox right now. But before you open it, I want to show you something that's going to make that tool 10 times more valuable the moment you sit down to use it. In the next 7 minutes, I'm going to show you the exact pattern that's been pulling you back into work after hours, and walk you through the one interruption that starts to break it this week. Not in 90 days, this week. Here's what most senior nonprofit leaders never get told. The reason you keep getting pulled back after hours isn't a boundaries problem. It's because your organization has a structural center of gravity, and that center is you. Every urgent ping, every after-hours question, everything that follows you home. It's a system doing exactly what it was built to do. That's what the false urgency filter is designed to interrupt. Before we get into the tool, I want to name 3 things that are probably happening in your world right now. Because if any of these sound familiar, the false urgency filter is going to hit differently than you expect. The first is this. You didn't set out to become the person everything flows through. It happened gradually. One decision deferred to you, one crisis only you could handle, one late night that became the norm. You've tried delegating, you've had the conversations, but the decisions still land on your desk. The calls still come after hours, because the problem isn't your habits, it's the structure underneath them. And then there's this. Even when you hand something off, it comes back. Through a question, a CC, just wanted to loop you in. It's not that your team is incompetent. It's that your organization has a center of gravity, and that center is you. You haven't changed the system. You've just asked people to behave differently inside a broken one. And on top of all of that, every time you try to step back, something slips. So you stay available. You stay reachable. You tell yourself it's temporary. Meanwhile, the mission you built is being led by a version of you that's running on empty. Every solution you've tried worked on you, your habits, your mindset, your boundaries. They were treating symptoms. The structure underneath was left completely intact. That's what nobody has touched. Until now. My name is Michael Drury, and for 25 years I was a nonprofit executive director. I built an arts organization from a small mailing list and no revenue into a nationally recognized program. 500% audience growth, award-winning work, a reputation that extended well beyond our city. And I was the person everything flowed through. Every decision, every crisis, every late night. I called it leadership. It was a structure I helped create. It was a structure I never questioned. Until it cost me almost everything outside of work. After I left, I spent years mapping exactly what it would have taken to change it. What I found became the Liberated Leader Protocol. I built the thing I needed. I'm offering it to leaders before they lose what I lost. Here's what one executive director said after we worked together. He told me the questions I asked and the conversations we had inspired his team to take real action, and that the advice was targeted in a way that actually produced real change. He's had his first real time off in 3 years. That's what we're going to start building today. Let's get into it. Okay, let's walk through the false urgency filter. Exactly how it works and how to use it today. 3 steps, about 10 minutes, and by the end, you're going to see your after-hours pull completely differently. Here's the core distinction before we start. Most of what feels urgent to a nonprofit executive director isn't actually urgent. It's inferred. It defaults to you, not because it has to, but because the system was never designed any other way. The filter separates what's truly inherent from what's simply inferred. That distinction is where your nights and weekends start coming back. Step 1 is capturing what feels urgent right now. Pull out the filter and list 5 things that are currently following you home. Don't edit, don't justify, just write them down. Then next to each one, label it inherent or inferred. Inherent means something genuinely breaks if you're not there. Inferred means it just defaults to you because that's the pattern. Most leaders find that 3 or 4 of their 5 items are inferred. That's not a failure, that's data. Step 2 is separating fact from pressure. For each item on your list, you're going to answer 5 questions. What actually breaks if this waits 48 hours? Who owns this when you're unavailable? What's missing decision is creating this urgency? What boundary would make this quiet? And is this deadline real or just the default? Here's what those questions do. They force you to distinguish between pressure and fact. Urgency often fills what clarity hasn't. When you can't answer what breaks if this waits 48 hours with something specific, the urgency is inferred. And inferred urgency is a design gap, not your emergency. Step 3 is the one that changes things. You're going to choose one item, the single inferred item most likely to pull you after hours. And for the next 24 hours, you are not going to respond to it. You're not going to explain. You're not going to fix it. You're just going to let it sit and notice what happens. Did anything actually break? What did you assume that didn't happen? Did it feel like relief or disruption? Both are data. Because here's what that 24-hour pause almost always reveals. If nothing breaks, you were absorbing risk you weren't required to hold. If someone steps in, the authority already existed. It just hadn't been assigned. And if the request simply vanishes, the escalation was habitual, not necessary. One interruption, one observation, that's the whole tool. And what it gives you isn't just a quieter evening. It gives you evidence that the urgency your organization runs on isn't inherent, as you've been telling yourself. Here's where I want to zoom out for a second. The false urgency filter is step 1 inside Reclaim, the first phase of the Liberated Leader protocol. One step, powerful, but one piece of a complete system. 3 phases, 9 steps, 90 days. Reclaim interrupts the urgency and reactivity that's been running you. Rewire dismantles the structural patterns that keep decisions and load flowing back to your desk, no matter what you try. And Re-anchor makes the shifts permanent, so the system holds without your constant presence. One interruption changes your evening. The full protocol changes your organization. The false urgency filter gives you evidence that the pattern can shift. The protocol gives you the architecture to make sure it does. And that brings me to the one thing I want to offer you today. If what I've walked you through today resonates, and you're serious about getting your nights and weekends back without abandoning the mission you built, here's what I want you to do next. I'm not going to sell you a course. Courses create information you'll read once and never implement. That's not what you need, and it's not what I offer. I'm not going to drive you to a free strategy call. Let's be honest, those are sales calls wearing a different name. Your time is too valuable for that, and frankly, so is mine. Here's what I am going to do. I want to sit down with you on Zoom, one-on-one, and we're going to build your 90-day plan together. We'll audit exactly where you are right now, what's working, what's broken, and which structural patterns are costing you your evenings and weekends. We'll define where sustainable leadership is actually possible for you. We'll identify the specific gaps between where you are and where that is. And we'll map out a clear step-by-step path to get there, built around your organization, your team, and your mission. You'll walk away with the recording of our session, a complete action plan you can start on immediately, and a 90-day structural roadmap built specifically for your situation. Whether you work with me further or not, you need that plan. This session is how you get it. This is the Liberation Mapping Session. 60 minutes, $299. And if that session doesn't give you a clearer picture of what's been running your organization than anything you've tried before, I'll refund the $299, no questions. Cohort 1 of the Liberated Leader Protocol begins May 11th. I'm taking a maximum of 12 leaders. The Liberation Mapping Session is the only way in. Click the link below to book your session. I'll see you on Zoom.